Where were you 20 years ago? 20 years ago, you may not have even been alive yet. You may not have exited the womb 20 years ago. I don't know. But as for me, I was 17 years old and I was in the beginning of my senior year of high school. 98, 99 was my senior year of high school. So knowing that means this, now that we're in the fall of 2018, as we're leading into the summer of 2019, what's going to happen? 20th high school reunion. That's what's going to happen. It's funny because for my 10 year, I had just gotten married and my wife went. Now for the 20th, I will have 2 kids, and we'll all be pushing 40, at that point, because, depending on what month you were born, you're probably going to be 38 for your 20th high school reunion, as will the case be for me. And so what I thought would be interesting is to share with you on a channel that's basically about hair loss. I thought it'd be interesting to tell you what actually, if I have some kind of thought or concern about that going into it, I'm just going to be honest and vulnerable with you and tell you what it is. Okay? Can you guess what it is? But you probably read the title of the video, so you know. So after the 90-second tie-in to that, here we go. Yes, it's not about me worrying about if I'm going to have enough hair. I'm not worried about that, and not because I still have this much hair. It's just, for me, in my mind, an adult male is likely balding anyway. So it's not like I'm going to get to my 20-year reunion and like, oh yeah, who went bald? I don't care about that. It could have just as easily been me, because I have no control over balding. I know you can get a hair transplant, we go through all the things you can do to try to stop it or slow down, prevent it, whatever. But ultimately, it's about genetics, okay? So as far as hair loss, don't care about that. I don't care about being a guy that still has hair versus other guys who don't, because the guys who went bald, it's not like their life didn't turn out because of that. As I've already said, where are all the older guys my age or older that went bald young whose lives were miserable? Those people don't show up. Those people don't have stories to tell. It's only the young guys worrying about what might happen. But yet the guys that it did happen to and survived it, their lives turned out just fine. It's just like there was a episode of Louis C.K. where there was the doctor with a 3-legged dog, and he said, what's happier than a 3-legged dog? And the answer to that joke was a 4-legged dog. But the 3-legged dog, well, it's not like he thought he could grow another leg, or he just made the most of his life. He was a happy little dog, with his tongue out. Oh, where are we going to go today? And for me, it's that same concept. But here's the thing. I'm not worried about diffuse thinning or balding or whatever. Don't care about that. What I care about is that I am not overweight. That's the thing I care about. Now, I know maybe instant reaction, oh, well, man, that's kind of vain and petty of you to say, because using your same logic, Nick, here you are saying that you're not, you don't care about hair, so why would you care about your weight? Well, here's why. Because I'm Nick Shell, okay? And Nick Shell has a system, and that is, I don't worry about the things I don't have control over. I instead focus on what I actually can control. Most people, especially the people who don't like my videos and give thumbs down, those are the people who are voting for their tribe. When they're doing that, those are the people who focus on things they can't control. Meanwhile, the people who like my videos, because again, you're voting you're voting for what tribe you belong to when you do thumbs up or thumbs down on my videos. But people who are like-minded to me, what they're going to do is they're going to say, yeah, hair loss or whatever it is, I can't control that. Here's something I can control. And for me, my weight to some degree is something I can control. I don't want to be the stereotypical American who's overweight, because most Americans are overweight, and I don't want that to be me, especially as I get older. As I get older, I want to be the right weight. And I know that BMI it's got its flaws, because ultimately BMI is going to measure, give you a decent range of what you should weigh based on your height and your gender, but ultimately you could be full of muscle versus just not muscle, and you could actually you could weigh more but have a smaller pant size if you're all muscle, and I understand that concept. But ultimately, I can tell you this. Even though I've been a vegan for 5.5 years, I can tell you that I can't fit into pants that I could fit in a couple years ago. And we could say, well, that happened because after I turned 35, my metabolism changed. We can say that. I was actually I met a personal trainer. You can Google him. His name is Mark Glesney. Last name spelled Glesne. Mark with a K. Mark Glesney. One of the things he does, he's a personal trainer. And I ran into him with our families were both at Starbucks at the same time. And I met him, and I was telling him my story. I said, it's weird. I've been a vegan for 5.5 years. In the first year or two into it, I lost weight. I got down to 156. I was easily a size 31 waist. And, I feel like I'm not eating anything worse now than I was then. What is this? Because back then I was in my early 30s and now I'm in my late 30s. Is that the difference? And what he pointed out, he said, the main thing is, and this is coming from a personal trainer who's trained vegans before. He said the real issue is that I'm not getting enough protein. Now, obviously, if you're a vegan, you have to hear that from a lot of people, when they find out. And for me as a vegan, I keep it a secret. It's funny, as of today at work, everybody officially found out in my office because we had a pizza party, and I had to tell the person planning, I'm like, so yeah, now is the time to tell you, now that I've been here about 5 months, I'm actually a vegan. So they ordered a special pizza for me that was just veggies, no cheese, no meat. And it all worked out. It was fine. But I kept it a secret. I don't want people to know that part about me because there's a stigma with vegans that they're very annoying people. For me, I'm a vegan because I have to be. If I went back to eating cheese and dairy, I wouldn't be able to breathe again. I'd have that constant sinusitis, blockage in my nasal here. It's like just air pressure that I can't breathe. And then I'd get sinus infections all the time. And then I have eczema. Like it'd just be pure red for the color of my skin. These little watery, itchy blisters. And then my hands kind of do like this and then swell up. So I'm not going to go back to that. I'm a vegan for that reason. And so, yeah, I keep it on the down low in real life that I'm a vegan. I truly do. I'm not eager to talk about it. So anyway, I was telling him about it, and here's what he said. Oh yeah, the point was that when people find out if you're a vegan, they're going to say, well, make sure you get enough protein. Because you can look at me and tell me, obviously, I'm not too skinny. I'm not, I don't need to put on weight. I don't look deficient in protein. Okay? But what he was telling me was, all proteins are not created equal. Just in the same way fats are not all equal. There's good fat, there's an avocado, and then there's an ice cream sandwich. Well, obviously the avocado is good fats and so on. There's the same thing with proteins. Certain proteins are more complete and balanced. So for example, and in this sense, he was explaining to me that like a peanut really counts as fat, not a protein. But an almond counts as protein. It's the one has more complete protein in it. So he taught me all these ways that I can change my diet so that ultimately I'm going to increase my amount of protein, because ultimately, in theory, what's been happening to my body these last couple of years, at first when I became a vegan, what happened was that my body realized, oh wait, there's different proportions of food coming in now. Okay, we'll start detracting from the muscle, and that's where we'll get all the nutrients we need. And what he explained it, after a couple of years, my body bottomed out and how much nutrients it take from my muscles, and basically went in, I think the way he explained it is basically I went into famine mode, to where my body's preparing for me about to go into this famine because I'm still not getting enough protein. So now it's taking my nutrients, and instead of building on top of muscle or even taking away from muscle, it's just turning it into fat, which if you watch the video where I proved to you that I'm overweight, you can check out that video. I published it just recently. But that's what's happened to me. So now I have this fat on me, and I am overweight, and I barely fit in most of my pants now because my body has changed. So what he said I had to do is crank up the level of protein. So when I come home, basically one of my new things, I ate a whole can of chickpeas, that's the good protein, with some salt and pepper and hot sauce, and then a piece of Ezekiel bread toast, and things like that. Switching out the peanut butter for almonds, adding chia seeds, which I used to think, well, that's extra fat. Now, chia seeds are real protein. That counts as protein, not fat. So I'm doing all these things, and I'm telling you all this because ultimately what I want you to hear in this is, Nick Shell focuses on what he can control. I can control my diet, right? I'm already obviously a disciplined guy because I'm a vegan. I've remained one for 5.5 years. But now that things have changed, I don't want to be overweight at my 10 reunion. I want to be my weight because I can control that. and it's funny because if you're one of those people who thinks, you know, vegans don't get enough protein, okay, well maybe you're right. Maybe vegans don't get enough protein and they actually gain weight after a certain amount of time, and maybe that's what I'm learning, and I can accept that because I'm open-minded. But for me, I don't care about losing my hair or having receding hairline at my 10-year reunion. What I care about is getting my weight down to where I can fit in most of my pants again. That's the thing I care about. What are your thoughts? Right here.